Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. The Galactic Fiasco: Why Dropping War Beasts on Earth Backfired Spectacularly. And that, esteemed members of the High Command, is why dropping war beasts on the human planet was the most catastrophic military blunder since the Vex 7 attempted to invade a sun. Commander Krell paused dramatically, his forearms gesturing in what he hoped was a sufficiently apologetic manner. His upper left appendage scratched nervously at the bioluminescent patches on his neck that were currently flashing a humiliating shade of embarrassment purple. The 13 members of the Galactic High Command stared back at him with various expressions of disbelief, disgust, and, was that barely contained laughter from Admiral Plex. The massive view screen behind Krell displayed the official mission designation, Operation Certain Victory. Someone, probably that sarcastic communications officer Neat Barlin, had added a flashing question mark after victory. "Please continue, Commander," rumbled Supreme War Director Vox Duran, her tentacles coiling and uncoiling in that way that always meant someone was about to be demoted to waste management on an outer rim mining colony. "We are all fascinated to hear how you managed to transform our most advanced bioweapon program into," she consulted her data pad, and I quote from your preliminary report, "a galactic-scale embarrassment rivaling the time we accidentally broadcast mating documentaries to the Purity Coalition of Riel 9. Krell cleared his throat. Staxes, yes, well, perhaps I should back up to the beginning, when we first conceived of Project Terrafong. "By all means," said Vox, her voice dripping with more venom than a Xandorian pit scorpion. "We've only cleared our schedules for the next 7 rotations to hear this explanation." Krell tapped his data pad, bringing up footage of the planning room from 6 lunar cycles ago. He remembered that day so clearly, the day everything seemed so brilliantly simple. "That, as you can see," he began, gesturing to his past self strutting confidently around the holodable, "I was absolutely convinced of our success. The humans had only achieved space flight within the last century. Their planetary defenses were laughable, their weaponry primitive, their political structures divided. We had subjugated 17 similar civilizations using the exact same approach." On the screen, past Krell was pointing excitedly at the holographic image of Earth. "Look at all that water," recorded Krell exclaimed. "Perfect breeding grounds for the hydroantids. And those vast continental forests, the shadow strikers will multiply faster than we can deploy them. Their largest predators are barely 2 meters tall." The recorded version of Science Director Palinox added, her scales gleaming with excitement, "Our smallest war beast is 3 times that size. Their primitive projectile weapons will barely penetrate the outer dermis." Present Krell winced at their naive enthusiasm. If only they had known. "Our intelligence indicated that humans would react with mass panic," Krell continued, advancing the presentation to show the predicted human response models. "Social collapse within 30 rotations, military defeat within 60, complete planetary surrender by cycle's end." "And yet," interrupted Strategic Director Gon Mavic, his cybernetic eye whirring as it zoomed in on Krell, "here we are, 180 rotations later, with precisely 0 human territories under our control, 7 of our drop ships captured, and reports that humans are now selling, domesticated war beast offspring as what did they call them? Exotic pets. Ah, there was also that human entertainment program," added Intelligence Director Zella Cole, not even attempting to hide her amusement. "War Beast Warriors, I believe. Apparently, it's their most watched vid stream in recorded history. They're on Season 3 now." Krell's bioluminescent patches were now throbbing a mortified magenta. "Yes, well, clearly we made some miscalculations about human psychology and adaptability, and their bizarrely enthusiastic approach to deadly creatures." "Miscalculations," repeated Supreme War Director Vox Duran flatly. "Do tell us, Commander, exactly how we so drastically miscalculated a species that now has humans riding death wings into battle, against us." "Against us?" Krell sighed deeply. This was going to be a very, very long debriefing. The preparation phase was meticulous, Krell continued, advancing to footage of the massive bioengineering facilities orbiting Proxima Centauri. We selected our most effective war beast templates from previous conquests and modified them specifically for Earth's environment. The footage showed row upon row of massive incubation chambers, each containing a different monstrosity in various stages of development. Lab-coated scientists of various species moved between stations, making adjustments and taking readings. Lead bioengineer Taz Morovo personally oversaw the genetic modifications, Krell said, pointing to a six-armed amphibian hunched over a control panel. She's currently requesting reassignment to the farthest outpost possible, by the way. Understandable, muttered Admiral Plex, not bothering to hide his smirk. We created 6 primary war beast variants, Krell explained, bringing up holographic models of each creature. The hydroantids for aquatic regions, shadow strikers for forests, magma claws for volcanic and arid zones, frost fangs for polar regions, sky terrors for aerial dominance, and, he paused, looking particularly uncomfortable, the behemoths for urban assault. Strategic Director Mavic leaned forward. The behemoths? Those would be the ones that the humans now call cuddle tanks, Krell admitted, his voice dropping to a mortified whisper. Yes, yes. A poorly suppressed snort came from somewhere around the conference table. Moving on, Krell said loudly, deployment began precisely according to schedule. We positioned 27 Cedar ships in low Earth orbit, each carrying approximately 500 warbeast embryos in drop pods programmed for specific geographical targets. The screen showed sleek, dark vessels moving into position around the blue-green planet below. One by one, they began releasing thousands of small meteorite-like objects that streaked toward the atmosphere. The drop pods were designed to burrow underground upon impact, Krell explained, remaining dormant for 14 solar rotations while the war beasts matured to fighting readiness. The footage shifted to a simulation of a pod embedding itself in forest soil and then opening to release a nightmarish creature that uncurled itself in the darkness of its underground chamber. Our timing was calculated to coincide with their northern hemisphere's autumn, reducing visibility due to falling foliage, decreasing outdoor human activity as temperatures dropped, and providing sufficient cover for the initial maturation phase. And this worked as planned? Asked Science Director Nooks, her scales shifting to a doubtful pattern. The deployment itself? Flawlessly, Krell replied. 97.6% of pods reached their designated targets. The rest landed in oceans or were destroyed in the atmosphere. So where exactly did it all go wrong? Vox Duran demanded, her tentacles now completely still, a dangerous sign. Krell sighed. That's where things get complicated. Our first indication came when we detected unusual energy signatures from a small settlement in a region humans call Montana. We thought it was a weapon being deployed against our shadow strikers. And was it? Asked Intelligence Director Cole. No, Krell said, his voice hollow. It was humans throwing a barbecue for something they were calling their new rescue pets. They were feeding premium livestock to a pack of adolescent shadow strikers. And the beasts were responding positively. The room fell into stunned silence. That, Krell said grimly, was just the beginning. I want to be absolutely clear, Krell said, straightening his posture defensively, that the initial phase of the operation was actually a resounding success. For approximately the first 28 Earth rotations, everything proceeded exactly according to our projections. The view screen shifted to news footage captured from human broadcasting networks. The images showed chaos, cities in panic, military vehicles rushing through streets, frightened civilians pointing at monstrous shapes moving through forests and waters. First emergence of the hydroantids occurred in a region called Florida, Krell narrated as footage showed massive multi-limbed creatures erupting from swamplands. Local human forces were completely unprepared. The creatures destroyed 3 military response units before the humans even understood what they were facing. The screen displayed a 6-legged beast with gleaming chitin armor and multiple heads weaving through a suburban neighborhood, tossing vehicles aside like toys. Shadow strikers emerged in forested regions across multiple continents, Krell continued. Their stealth capabilities proved highly effective. Humans couldn't detect them until they were already attacking. The footage showed blurry images of sleek, dark shapes moving at incredible speeds between trees, leaving trails of destruction and confusion in their wake. The sky terrors caused particular havoc, Krell added, with a hint of pride creeping into his voice despite the situation. They disrupted air travel globally within just 3 rotations. The screen displayed winged nightmares with 15-meter wingspans swooping down on airfields and small aircraft. Humans scattered in terror below them. And the behemoths, Krell paused, his bioluminescent patches briefly pulsing with remembered satisfaction, they performed extraordinarily well in urban environments. The footage showed enormous armored quadrupeds with multiple eyes and thick armored plating lumbering through city streets, impervious to small arms fire. Military vehicles fired upon them with minimal effect. Their specialized disruption roars proved particularly effective, Krell noted as the recording captured a behemoth rearing up and emitting a sound wave so powerful it shattered windows for blocks. Human communications networks were in chaos. Their social media, which we had identified as a weakness in their social cohesion, amplified the panic exponentially. The screen displayed human news anchors with expressions of terror, emergency broadcasts, and mass evacuations from major population centers. Human military response was exactly as fragmented as we predicted, Krell said. Different nations refused to share information. Some even accused others of creating the beasts as weapons. Strategic Director Mavic narrowed his eyes. This all sounds impressively effective, Commander. So the question remains, how did we go from this, he gestured at the scenes of chaos, to humans selling war beast plush toys in gift shops. The turning point, Krell said grimly, came on Earth Rotation 29, in a settlement called Nashville, Tennessee. The screen switched to footage of a massive behemoth cornering a group of humans against a building. The hulking beast raised its armored front limbs, ready to crush the seemingly doomed humans. This should have been another routine elimination of human defenders, Krell said. Should have been, prompted Vox Duran. Yes, should have been, Krell tapped his data pad, advancing the footage. Instead we got this. The screen showed a female human stepping forward, holding what appeared to be some kind of acoustic noise-making device. A guitar, Krell explained, and beginning to produce sounds. The behemoth, poised to attack, hesitated. Is it swaying? Asked Science Director Knox, leaning forward in disbelief. Yes, Krell replied hollowly. Apparently behemoths respond positively to something humans call country music, particularly something called Johnny Cash. Human response begins. The country music incident, Krell continued, visibly uncomfortable, was initially dismissed as an anomaly, a freak occurrence. We assumed the behemoth must have been defective. The view screen displayed a series of frantically exchanged messages between the invasion monitoring team. Bioresponse analyst Trex Woolner recommended immediate termination of the malfunctioning behemoth. Krell pointed out a particularly urgent communication. But by the time we activated its cerebral self-destruct sequence, the humans had already transported it to a secure location. They captured it alive? Asked Admiral Plex incredulously. Worse, Krell replied. They gave it a name. They called it Boomer. Science Director Knox's scales rippled with confusion. A boomer is a human generational designation, is it not? Apparently it's also what they call things that make loud noises, Krell explained. They found the disruption roar cute, chorused several council members in horrified unison. This isolated incident might have remained containable, Krell continued hastily, but then similar reports began flooding in from multiple regions. In a place called Australia, humans were actually approaching magma claws, offering them food. The footage showed hardy-looking humans cautiously extending what appeared to be large slabs of meat toward the lava-skinned predators. The beasts, designed to scorch everything in their path, were sniffing at the offerings with interest. In Japan, they began broadcasting high-frequency tones that appeared to calm the hydroantids, Krell continued, showing footage of the massive creatures becoming docile as specialized sound equipment played around them. They discovered this entirely by accident when a pop music concert was occurring near an emergency site. "How is this possible?" demanded Strategic Director Mavic. "These beasts were engineered specifically for aggression. Their neural pathways were designed to resist any form of control except our command frequencies." Krell's patches flashed a sickly yellow. "That's what science team believed too, but what we failed to account for was the humans' approach to unknown creatures. They didn't just try to destroy them, they tried to understand them." The screen displayed multiple scenes, human scientists taking readings of war beasts from safe distances, others reviewing captured footage, specialized teams deploying various sound, light, and scent stimuli to observe reactions. Within just 15 rotations of the first emergence, human scientific communities worldwide were sharing data on war beast behaviors, Krell said. And not competing, sharing. They established an open-source database called Operation Monster Mash, where civilian scientists could contribute observations. Intelligence Director Cole looked impressed despite herself. "That's remarkably efficient." They identified the sensory vulnerabilities of each war beast variant with astonishing speed, Krell admitted. Shadow strikers respond to ultraviolet light patterns similar to certain Earth insects. Sky terrors become disoriented by specific electromagnetic frequencies. And the frost fangs apparently find something called peanut butter irresistible. Vox Duran's tentacles coiled tightly. But surely they couldn't neutralize all of them this way. There must have been significant human casualties. "Oh, there were," Krell confirmed grimly, "especially in the first wave. Thousands of humans perished. But instead of causing the mass panic and social breakdown we anticipated," he paused, seemingly lost for words. "Instead of what, Commander?" Vox pressed. "Instead," Krell said, "it made them angry. And creative." The screen changed to show a human in makeshift armor wielding what appeared to be a modified musical amplification device mounted on a vehicle, driving toward a behemoth. "That was the next phase," Krell said, "when they stopped just defending and started fighting back with methods none of us could have possibly predicted. The first documented case of actual war beast training," Krell said, his voice still carrying traces of disbelief despite having reviewed the evidence countless times, occurred in a region called Wyoming approximately 42 rotations after initial emergence. The view screen displayed footage of a weathered human female with gray hair tied back, standing in what appeared to be a reinforced enclosure. Beside her, shockingly, was a juvenile shadow striker. The creature was performing what appeared to be trained behaviors on command. This human, Marjorie Cooper, had previously specialized in training predatory mammals called wolves, Krell explained. She hypothesized that despite their alien origin, our war beasts would respond to similar conditioning techniques. That's impossible," stammered Science Director Nooks. "The neural architecture is completely different." "Apparently not different enough," Krell replied dryly. Cooper documented her methods and shared them widely. Within rotations, similar attempts were being made worldwide. The screen shifted to show multiple training operations, humans working cautiously with various war beast specimens, using combinations of food rewards, sound cues, and scent markers. "The most alarming success came from a place called India," Krell continued, bringing up footage of humans working with adolescent hydroantids in a controlled aquatic environment. These humans had previous cultural experience training creatures called elephants for labor and transport. They applied similar principles to the hydroantids, focusing on establishing trust and social bonds. Social bonds? With war beasts engineered specifically to lack social instincts, sputtered Admiral Plex. Correct, Krell confirmed. Their breakthrough came when they discovered that hydroantid neural pathways are particularly receptive to specific light patterns. They developed a training system using underwater illumination sequences. The footage showed humans in protective diving gear using light-emitting devices to establish communication with the massive aquatic monstrosities. To the High Command's visible horror, the creatures were responding with precise movements. But surely these were isolated incidents? Vox Duran pressed. Anomalies? Initially, yes, Krell conceded. But then human information networks did what they do best. They spread the knowledge at unprecedented speed. Something they called the viral videos showed successful training techniques. Suddenly everyone wanted to try. The screen displayed a rapid montage of amateur footage, humans of all ages attempting, sometimes successfully, sometimes with comical failures, to interact with war beasts of various types. And this is where it gets truly bizarre, Krell said, his voice dropping. Approximately 60 rotations after emergence, the first evidence of war beast breeding programs appeared. Breeding programs? Gasped Strategic Director Mavic. Yes, led by something humans call agricultural colleges, Krell confirmed. They began selectively breeding the more docile specimens, particularly focusing on the behemoths and, surprisingly, the shadow strikers. The footage showed sophisticated facilities with shadow striker cubs being hand-raised by humans in protective gear. By the 70th rotation, there were waiting lists for what they called domesticated war beast offspring, Krell continued, with prices reaching what, in their economy, were astronomical figures. A juvenile shadow striker with confirmed docile lineage was selling for the equivalent of one of their ground transportation vehicles. But why? Demanded Vox Duran, her tentacles writhing in confusion. These creatures were designed to terrify and destroy. That, Krell said with resignation, is exactly what the humans found so appealing. The official term they used was extreme exotic pets. Apparently, the more dangerous something is, the more certain humans desire to possess it. Their entertainment media had actually primed them for this exact scenario for decades. The screen displayed clips from human fiction depicting humans bonding with dangerous creatures. In human entertainment, Krell explained wearily, this scenario, befriending the monster, is a recurring fantasy. When our war beasts arrived, many humans didn't see a planetary threat. They saw an opportunity to live out their cultural narratives. The transition from concerning military setback to galactic-scale embarrassment occurred approximately 90 rotations after initial deployment, Krell continued, his bioluminescent patches now pulsing a deep, mortified crimson. That was when the first human media broadcasts about our war beasts reached neighboring systems. The view screen switched to footage of a diplomatic gathering on Centauri Prime. Various galactic representatives were huddled around a display, expressions of shock, disbelief, and, most painfully, amusement evident on their diverse facial structures. Ambassador Nix Talaran of the Arcturian Confederation had maintained a neutral stance on our expansion efforts, Krell explained, pointing to a tall, crystalline being in the recording. But after viewing a human entertainment program called My 500 Kilograms Monster Pet, they formally condemned our tactics as quote, not only ethically reprehensible but embarrassingly ineffective. How widely was this information distributed? Asked Vox Duran, her tone dangerously quiet. Krell's lower arms fidgeted nervously. The diplomatic transmission was intercepted by approximately 73% of spacefaring civilizations within our galactic quadrant. A collective groan rose from around the conference table. But that was just the beginning, Krell added grimly. The Rigelian Trade Federation, which had previously expressed interest in joining our conquest efforts, withdrew all support after their cultural analysts reviewed human response patterns. The screen displayed a formal communication from the Rigelian High Merchant, adorned with their ceremonial trade seals. Formal notice of partnership dissolution. After extensive review of the current terrafit containment situation, we find the invasion methodology lacks elementary psychological profiling. Any species that responds to apex predators by creating adoption agencies for them demonstrate psychological patterns we find concerning for future military engagements. We hereby rescind all resource commitments and strategic alliances related to Earth's subjugation efforts. They actually used the phrase elementary psychological profiling, asked Intelligence Director Cole, visibly wincing. Yes, Krell confirmed. And they sent copies to all their trading partners. With annotations. Admiral Plex buried his face in his upper appendages. Wonderful. Meanwhile, Krell continued, bringing up a new series of recordings. The Galactic Sentient Rights Coalition launched a formal investigation into our bioengineering practices, citing concerns about creating sentient weapons without proper ethical oversight. The footage showed coalition inspectors analyzing data from captured war beasts, looking particularly troubled when reviewing neural scans from the domesticated specimens. Their preliminary findings suggest that our war beasts, under human care and socialization, are developing neural pathways associated with higher cognition and emotional bonding, Krell explained, particularly the behemoths and shadow strikers. They're threatening sanctions based on the Orion Accords prohibiting the creation of sentient weapons. This is preposterous, sputtered Strategic Director Mavic. Those creatures were designed with precisely calibrated neural limitations. Apparently, Krell said carefully, the human socialization process is somehow bypassing those limitations. They're using something called play to stimulate neural development in juvenile specimens. The screen displayed footage of young humans tossing objects for shadow striker cubs to chase, or behemoth calves rolling large balls with their snouts. The most damaging blow to our reputation, Krell continued, came from the Draconis Entertainment Networks. They sent documentary teams to Earth and produced an immensely popular series called Humans, the Galaxy's Beast Tamers. The view screen showed clips from the documentary, humans working with war beasts in various settings, training them, caring for them, even, most humiliatingly, dressing the smaller ones in decorative garments. The series has become the highest-rated entertainment program in 7 sectors, Krell admitted. They're currently producing the 4th season. The merchandise sales alone have generated enough revenue to fund a small planetary defense system. Merchandise, repeated Vox Duran faintly. Yes, Krell confirmed, displaying images of plush toy war beasts, clothing items bearing their images, and beverage containers shaped like behemoth heads. Particularly popular are the collectible action figures of notorious human beast tamers. The figure of Marjorie Cooper comes with a miniature shadow striker and what they call training accessories. Science Director Knox's scales had faded to a pale, shocked hue. Our most advanced bioweapons reduced to children's playthings. The diplomatic fallout continued and the Proxima Scientific Consortium formally requested access to our bioengineering facilities, Krell said. Not to assist our efforts, but to study what they termed our fascinating failure to account for mammalian socialization potential in predator-prey dynamics. The screen displayed the official request, dripping with barely concealed academic condescension. Several members of our own science team defected to join their research group, Krell added, including, regrettably, lead bioengineer Taz Morovo. She now holds a prestigious chair position in their xenobiology department, specializing in interspecies behavioral adaptation, lessons from the Earth incident. Her lectures, Krell finished miserably, are standing room only. Naturally, Krell continued, straightening his posture in a futile attempt to reclaim some dignity. Once we recognized the severity of the situation, we implemented a series of countermeasures, each one more sophisticated than the last. He paused. And each one failing more spectacularly than its predecessor. The view screen displayed a series of mission briefings, each marked with increasingly urgent security classifications. Our first attempt was Operation Neural Override, Krell explained. We activated the emergency genetic kill switches embedded in each warbeast's neural structure. The command was designed to trigger an immediate cerebral shutdown. And the result? Prompted Vox Duran. A 93% failure rate, Krell admitted. Somehow, the human domestication process had caused unexpected neurological adaptations. The kill switches simply didn't connect to anything vital anymore. The screen displayed confused technicians monitoring signal response data, showing minimal reactions from the targeted war beasts. And in the specimens where the signal did register, Krell added, most experienced only minor discomfort, which the humans immediately treated with something called aspirin and, bizarrely, ice cream. Strategic Director Mavic looked incredulous. They gave war beasts ice cream. Apparently it's some sort of frozen lactose-based reward substance, Krell explained. The behemoths are particularly fond of a variety called Rocky Road. Our second attempt was more direct, Krell continued hastily. Operation Sonic Purge. We deployed specialized orbital transmitters to broadcast our most powerful control frequencies directly into the atmosphere. The footage showed sleek satellite devices entering Earth orbit, positioning themselves over major population centers and emitting invisible pulses of energy. This should have triggered immediate aggression responses in all Warbeast variants, Krell said, turning them against their human handlers. Should have, echoed Admiral Plex. Yes, Krell said tersely. Instead, it triggered what humans call, the biggest synchronized nap time in history. Turns out our aggression frequencies, when filtered through Earth's unique atmospheric composition, produced an unexpected sedative effect on the war beasts. The screen showed footage of shadow strikers curling up into sleeping positions mid-stride, behemoths yawning massively before collapsing into slumber, and hydroantids floating peacefully on the surfaces of lakes and oceans. The humans called it adorable, Krell added, his voice hollow. There are now thousands of human social media images of their offspring cuddling with sleeping warbeasts. Our third and most desperate measure, Krell continued, was Operation Predator Prime. We designed an enhanced alpha predator specifically to hunt and eliminate our own war beasts, the Omega Reaper. The screen displayed schematics for a truly nightmarish creation, a massive shadow-like entity with adaptive camouflage, hypersonic speed capabilities, and molecularly sharpened talons that could slice through the war beast's armored hides. We deployed exactly one Omega Reaper, Krell said, into a region called Texas. And, asked Science Director Nooks. Krell's patches flashed a sickly green. The humans captured it within 6 hours using something called barbecue brisket as bait. They named it Fluffy. It now performs in something called rodeos, and has its own merchandise line. The final footage showed the fearsome Omega Reaper, ultimate achievement of their bioengineering program, wearing what appeared to be a decorative fabric covering on its head and performing choreographed movements in a circular arena while humans cheered. Its branded energy drink, Krell finished in a near whisper, is the best-selling beverage in the Western Hemisphere. The final phase of this catastrophe, Krell said, his voice dropping to a tone that suggested profound existential defeat, began approximately 120 rotations after initial deployment, when humans stopped merely defending against our war beasts.